When I access something that I want to do again, I shame myself for not having already done it before. And yet, no matter what the level of goodness or wealth is surrounding me at any given day, I'll always just be me waking up from a night of sleep, having hours in front of me to use and to spend time doing things. And then I look at the possibility of what I could choose to do right now. I sit down here today talking into my camera because I feel pulled to do this. But there's also this voice that says that I'm feigning this expression and creating this content because if I were really good and satisfied or well off, that I would have other better morning routines that would be more ingrained in me, that I would have meditated, read a book, done some exercising, created a healthy meal, not snoozed my alarm, journaled, done my morning pages, created intentional, quiet space for me to commune with my own brain. And in lieu of those things being habitual, I come in here and I sit down in order to blather on video because I have failed at getting myself to do any of those other things, because I'm looking for more dopamine than those things can provide to me. The 30 minutes before I sat down and pressed record, I was on TikTok. I was toasting a bagel and I was watching a TikTok while the bagel was toasting. I wasn't eager to spend time with myself. And so when I come here to this chair, there's some eagerness because this is, in a way, a substitute for what journaling can be. And then I feel perhaps guilty thinking that because I haven't journaled today, the stuff I would have journaled about is still rattling around inside my brain. And that's the stuff that I bring here. And perhaps I'm not able to access a true enough or good enough version of Wes on the mic because I have to first wade through the expression of the things that were blocked up inside of me that didn't have an opportunity to get written down in my journal and now have to come out in the beginning of this video. And yet, I understand that there isn't a rule book for this. Plenty of people have never journaled and have never created these intentional morning practices. and have lived very fruitful, content, happy, amazing lives. And so I realize that I'm comparing myself to a version of myself that doesn't exist. And I feel bad about who I am right now because I think about who I could be. If I go try to do push-ups, I can't do a push-up. I can do like a knee push-up, but even then I struggle. And so I can think, okay, well, let me start with wall push-ups. And then when I think about what it would be like to be doing push-ups on a regular basis, my mind goes to this one day in 2019 where I did a workout in my room, and I did a bunch of wall push-ups, and I did a couple other body weight exercises. And this one afternoon in 2019, I specifically remember, and while I was doing that exercise 6 years ago, I remember thinking, I should do this every day. This is day one. And I haven't done anything like that since, really. Except for a one-off little thing. But that day in 2019, I worked out for, I don't know, an hour. And I was sore. And I was sweaty. And then I think about journaling. And I remember this one morning, the morning of my first day at a new job in 2016. I had just moved into this new house all by myself with a bunch of strangers. We were all renting rooms in this house. I moved there for this job in Minneapolis. And the morning before my first day, I made a coffee or whatever, I had a little breakfast and sat down at the kitchen table and took out my journal and I journaled. And I wrote a page or two. And I said, this is day one. There's something hard to me about creating a future self amidst the present moment. I remember this one time in 2021 where I did some yoga poses. And I was in the middle of doing a downward dog. And I remember saying aloud to my two friends who were in the room with me, wow, I should do stretching more often. I should do this every day. And it felt like I was berating myself for not having already created a routine where I do yoga. I should already be doing this. I remember this one day in 2024, October, where I was drawing in my sketchbook and I was creating little cartoons. And I was like, holy shit, I can actually create little stuff that looks good. And I said, man, I can't believe I haven't been drawing. I can't believe I haven't already spent years trying to improve this craft. Look at how good I am, and I'm just starting. Look at how good it feels, and I'm just starting. Look at how easy it was to write this, and I'm just starting. Look at how strong I am, and I'm just starting. And I say, and I'm just starting, and I'm just starting, and I'm just starting. And it becomes a one-off, random thing that never becomes a routine, and I never follow through on this goal because I'm setting these goals, shaming myself for the fact that today is day one. When I access something that I want to do again, I shame myself for not having already done it before. And I don't mean to do this. I'm not trying to cast this pessimistic judgment of my past self. But that's what happens. I want to foster loving support for the things that feel good, but I then associate that thing that feels good with the opinion that my past self failed at making me feel good in this particular way. I could have been setting up my tripod with my microphone for years. And here I am, just getting started. It's beautiful to begin. It's glorious to discover our own capability. And what I know, and the thing that I want to remind myself of, is that I am capable of figuring things out. I don't need to whip myself into shape. I need to love myself into intentionality. I need to honor what feels good. The things that feel good haven't been things that I do every day. The stuff that's felt good is the stuff that's been new. And then I say, this newness should become regularness. And I'm not often enamored by regularness, by my routines. Well, don't I need discipline? Or is it not actually that doing push-ups every day is the answer, or journaling every day is the answer, or making videos every day is the answer, or doing yoga poses every day is the answer? It's that newness feels good. And maybe I need to try new stuff sometimes. Maybe the idea that goodness needs to be repeated daily in order to be harnessed and most, experienced. And I want to, out of a loving desire for goodness in my life, I want daily goodness. But I think trying to prescribe myself a regimen is difficult for me to follow through on. And so I think I could benefit from something like knowing that there's a handful of activities that I'm not well versed in, that I am new at, that I'm a rookie in, that when I so choose and when I so desire, I can look at and wake up to amidst my regularity, like watching TikTok while I'm waiting for my bagel to toast, that I could maybe do a couple of wall push-ups, that I could write 5 sentences, that I could put my hands on the crummy kitchen floor without a yoga mat and without putting on my yoga clothes, and I could just stretch and I could just feel that. I can imagine myself stretching and I imagine that it feels really good. And it doesn't have to be regular. And there's a fear that this is a cop-out, that I'm trying to excuse my lack of discipline, this idea that I haven't often really tried a whole lot of stuff. I haven't forced myself to make new habits. I've just succumbed to the habits that have naturally developed over time, which is how habits become habits. Not that we don't have agency, but I feel like it's hard to commune with my desires if I think they're only good if they're repeatable. And so, a lot of time the routine stuff is there because it's the stuff that we need to do. I wake up, I brush my teeth, I shower, I make my breakfast, make my coffee, look at my phone throughout this process, get dressed, poop, and then I'm kind of out the door. I don't need to. Are you not waking up early, getting your sweat on, doing all your blah, blah, blah? No, I'm not. I go through the motions. I do what I need to do. I think that it would be nice if doing 10 minutes of exercise as a part of that morning routine was a part of what I do, but right now it's not. And the idea that that every day that I don't do that, I'm just gonna be a failure. It's like it's this teeter-totter of I could include 5 to 10 minutes of meditation. I want to include it, but then I don't. So then I feel really bad about myself. Then I let it go. And then I don't remember that I wanted to do that. right? Like feeling as if I want to add something to my life regularly and then I don't, I feel bad. So feeling bad about failing to add takes away. So if I want to plus into my life, I gotta put it on my schedule or remember. And that's one of the things is like days go by where I just forget about some of my options. I need to fucking write on my big whiteboard and put it on my wall. Here's some options. Here's some options. Because I know looking at TikTok is an option. Because I choose it all the time. So, what if I made my environment and I could look up and have that reminder without having to be intentional about carving out the time for which specific new routine or thing I could accomplish. I need reminders. And this serves as a reminder when I sit and I allow myself to contemplate aloud. I don't know about you, but contemplating like this, I can't contemplate like this in my head. It's really hard to contemplate like this on a page with a pen, or even at a computer on the keyboard. There's lag. There's too much time. My handwriting speed isn't fast enough. My mouth, aloud, orating, well, my mouth has a chance of becoming my thought stream. This is the stream of conscious me. This is the expression of what's available for me to discover. And it's only discoverable if I've set out on the journey towards discovery. And discovery requires newness. Discovery requires newness. Now then, to be fair, there is discovery in routine. Imagine someone, goes through a 5-minute yoga flow and they do it 100 times, and that 101st time they access an experience of that 5 minutes of movement, of going from pose to pose, breathing, going where they're no longer thinking about making sure they're doing every move right. We build muscle memory. We build a bodily understanding of what that's going to be. There's beauty in that. So I don't want to discount the power of repetition, because that's powerful. When something's ingrained in you, ooh boy. Ooh boy. So let's try to just work on some of that newness, some of the intentionality, some of the acknowledgement of the power of trying, setting aside our self-shaming and opening ourselves up to honoring the positive experiences we access today, and not wishing for a better yesterday, and not assuming that a better tomorrow means repeating today. Nothing's really repeatable. Each new day, even if we go through the same motions of certain routines, it's always different. We have the memory of yesterdays. We have the differing circumstances of what we're going through. We have the way we feel is different. The stuff that we're anticipating is different. So it's good for us to open up. Don't be closed-fisted about how you approach tomorrow. Because tomorrow is just today. But in our heads, tomorrow doesn't exist. We look at our calendar. I look 3 weeks from now and I say, well, 3 weeks from now, next Wednesday, I work from 2 to 8. Okay? But when that day comes, it's just another this. And when we imbue our this with newness, we open our next this to new possibilities and potentialities. All right. I hope that made sense.